It's a great time to be a Griff.
It really is, yeah.
What question did you ask?
Joined now by Missouri Western head volleyball coach Jessica Fye. Record of 12-3 overall, 3-1. You know, Cody, I noticed no one ever hoops and hollers for you. What's up with that?
Go, Cody!
There we go. Thanks, Tommy.
On cue.
I'll pay you later.
Myself, our staff, that was a big emphasis of, hey, let's go out and let's get the players that we feel can help us. And, you know, thankfully it worked out. And, you know, we're really pleased with how things have progressed so far.
Everybody's a shooter. It's positionless. That doesn't mean that Jaden's going to bring the ball up the floor by any means, but they all have the green light. So it's an exciting style to play.
We're playing tough football. We're playing good football, but we're not playing we're giving things up. We've got mistakes that are compounding, and you just can't do that in this league. You can't give points away in this league and think that you're going to overcome it, and the competition's just too tough.
You're listening to the Griffon Sports Insider Podcast, live from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill in St. Joseph, Missouri. It's our live weekly chat with Missouri Western coaches and athletes. Here's your host for the Griffon Sports Insider Podcast, Tommy Rezach.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome into Hi-Ho Bar and Grill and another edition of the Griffon Sports Insider Podcast for a Monday, October 7th, 2024. A beautiful fall morning turning to afternoon here in St. Joseph, Missouri. I'm Tommy Rezach. We're so glad you're with us and hope you'll stay with us over the next hour. We've got a busy show, not only recapping a busy week and weekend of action in fall sports, we're going to talk basketball for the first time in 2024-25 later this hour. Women's head basketball coach Ashton Feldhaus and men's head basketball coach Will Martin. They've got MIAA Media Day in Kansas City tomorrow, but their first official day of practice was this past Friday, so we'll talk some hoops later on in the program today. Lots of things going on this week, a lot of it right here on campus, including, not on campus, but in our city, up the road at St. Joseph Country Club. Missouri Western men's golf, at home for a second straight week in the Central Region preview. Right now, the Griffon men are 3 strokes over par in 5th place right now. Central Oklahoma kind of running away with it right now as a team. They're 11 under par, 10 strokes ahead of second place. That teed off early this morning at about 8:30 at St. Joseph Country Club, but Jeffrey Johnston right now tied for 4th at 2 under par, just 3 shots off the lead. That is men's golf at the St. Joseph Country Club. Women's golf, they were off last week. They are in action right now down in Edmond, Oklahoma for their Central Region preview. Taking a look at the team leaderboard right now, Missouri Western women's golf currently tied for 20th in a field of 24 teams in all. That also teed off at around 8:15 this morning as Missouri Western looks to climb up the leaderboard there. That is a 2-round event for the women. Men's golf, they'll play 2 rounds today at St. Joseph Country Club with the 3rd round coming up tomorrow morning. So Missouri Western women's golf again. They're now at 18 over par through 12 holes. And right now, Saya Schweitzer is in 15th place as she is 1 over par through her, let's see, she is through 6 holes so far. Saya Schweitzer at 1 over par, tied for 15th to lead Missouri Western on the women's golf side. In no particular order, Missouri Western volleyball. We'll actually talk with Jessica Fye, the head coach, coming up in the next segment. Griffon volleyball was on the road this past week. They were at Nebraska Kearney 4-Day State. The record is 12-3, a very competitive loss at UNK. They're the 3rd-ranked team in the country. The first set was settled by the score of 35-33. Should tell you all you need to know right there. Missouri Western bounced back with a 4-set win at 4-Day State Saturday. It is a busy week for volleyball. They got 3 matches this week. Starting tomorrow, they'll take on Northwest Missouri State. Tuesday night at 6 from Bearcat Arena. And then a pair of home matches this week for the Griffs. They're home to Arkansas Fort Smith, the MIAA newcomer. That's a Friday night match at 6. And then 13th ranked Central Oklahoma. The Broncos 17-0 coming to our house Saturday at 2 o'clock. By the way, both of those matches are pink out nights. You'll get a free t-shirt with a $10 donation, which supports the Mosaic Life Care Breast Care Center. And speaking of pink shirts, one just got thrown my way by the t-shirt cannon. That is Ryan Menley. Look at that. That is a great design that our department has put together. So with a $10 donation, if you go to volleyball and soccer this week, you will get one of those. Speaking of soccer, how great is this team right now? 9-0-1, the only undefeated team left in the MIAA, number one in the conference standings, wins 3-0 shutouts at Newman and Central Oklahoma. It is now the best start in program history, has translated into the best winning streak in program history. The Griffins have won 8 straight. They're home to Northeastern State Friday at 7, 9th ranked Central Missouri Sunday at 1. Again, same thing. Those are pink out games, $10 donation. You get the pink t-shirt. Missouri Western football was back on the road this past week. They're going to stay on the road this week and facing the gauntlet of the schedule right now. We were at 10th ranked Pittsburgh State on a warm, blustery day in the jungle, and that was a really good, competitive, physical football game. I know another close loss for the Griffins, 31-20, the final score there. But Griffins battling the elements, battling illness in certain ways, and battling a really good team in their house. And Missouri Western gave themselves a chance as they'll try to do the same thing as we go to Walton Stadium in Warrensburg, Central Missouri, on Saturday at 1 o'clock. Now, UCM was the preseason favorite to win the MIAA in football. They took a loss at Fort Hays State Saturday, 31-21. So the Mules, previously ranked 12th in the country, they're now 3-2. So the Griffins will try to play spoiler when we go to Warrensburg for a 1 o'clock kick this Saturday with the pregame show at noon. And we told you about basketball. Their practices are underway, got started on Friday. They will have MIAA Media Day at the College Basketball Experience downtown Kansas City. The event starts at 9. Missouri Western, Coach Feldhaus, Coach Martin, take the podium tomorrow morning at 11. You can watch that on the MIAA Network, but myself, Brandon Dugan, will have interviews and lots of recaps, stories on GoGriffins.com. The preseason polls dropping tomorrow. So 3 weeks from Wednesday, we're playing basketball, an exhibition for women's basketball at the University of Iowa. So that's really exciting. And then the men's start November 1st. So we're under a month away from getting both Griffin men's and women's basketball seasons underway. With that, let's go ahead and take a break. Lots to get to over the next hour. We'll step aside for a minute, and we'll lead things off with Missouri Western head volleyball coach Jessica Fye. The Griffins at 12-3 as they're getting ready for 3 matches this season, including one tomorrow at Northwest. So we'll talk about that next. It's the GSI Podcast, broadcasting live from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill on the Griffin Sports Network. We continue from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill. It's the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast, broadcasting live from Hi-Ho. I'm Tommy Rezach, joined now by, excuse me, goodness gracious, joined now by Missouri Western head volleyball coach Jessica Fye. Record of 12-3 overall, 3-1 in the MIAA, going on the road for conference play for the first time this season over the weekend. Started on Friday at a packed-out Health and Fitness Center in Kearney, Nebraska. It was number 3 Nebraska Kearney taking on Missouri Western. Coach Fye, I know it's a sweep, but are you ever going to find a more competitive sweep than that? 35-33, 28-26, and the Lopers win the third set 25-20. Some really good individual performances, and you look at it from a hitting standpoint, total kills, defense, very even. And I know it's not what you wanted at the end of the day. I mean, that first set, I was able to watch it. Man, I mean, what can you say about the effort you gave against one of the best teams in the nation?
Yeah, I mean, very proud of our team for how well we played. And, that if anyone's been there before, it's a very intimidating place to play. It's usually pretty packed, pretty loud. So very proud of them for how they performed. We fought, head-to-head with them very well. Just sometimes those games don't go the way you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Holly Helt, 14 kills. Also a career-high 24 digs for her. Emily Loy, 15 kills. Taylor Russell with 12. Nessa Johnson, 49 assists in that match. The Griffins really hustling on defense, 92 digs in the match against Kearney. Quick turnaround Saturday afternoon at Fort Hays State. You win the first 2 sets, 25-22, 25-23. 25-15, Hayes took the third, and then a competitive fourth set in which the Griffins win 26-24. Another good day for Holly with 17 kills. Emily Loy, a great weekend. She had 16 against Fort Hays State. Emma Sulker, 15 kills as well, 53 assists for Nessa Johnson. Hayes' front row, 12 blocks. They're a much improved team than they have been the last few years, and they're 9-4 right now, so that gives you an idea. They're off to a pretty decent start. And at the end of the day, it's a conference road win. How did you like the response, not only from Friday, but also the response after a disappointing third set?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Tommy. I wasn't super impressed with our performance on Saturday.
Okay.
I thought we had some people step up offensively, but I think defensively and blocking-wise, our game just kind of fell apart. It was pretty disappointing to see how high level we played on Friday, and then just not even 24 hours later, we kind of took a whole 50% off our play. So I just wanted to see them bounce back and play a super high-level match just like they did the night before. Sometimes that can be hard based on who's on the other side and kind of what they're giving you. But I think our team can still do a better job of just having higher standards for themselves. We're still trying to find our footing on how to be great all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Missouri Western winning it in 4 sets, 3-1 in the conference now after playing Emporia and Washburn at home last weekend. Well, the Griffins will have 2 home matches coming up again this weekend, but it starts tomorrow at 6. It'll be the 3rd match in about 5 days. Griffins at Northwest Missouri State Tuesday night, 6 o'clock. Let's just start there. Northwest off to by their standards, probably a slower start at 8-6, but I know they took Washburn to 5 sets. They've been very competitive night in, night out. What have you noticed about them so far?
I think they got off to a pretty slow start in preseason, so I think their record's a little deceiving. I think that so far in conference play, they've played very well. They took a set from Kearney this last weekend. I think they beat Hayes. I don't think Hayes scored more than 14 points, 15 points on them each game. So I think they found their footing here recently. So we're definitely going to have to play our best game tomorrow night.
Yeah, they did get wins over Upper Iowa, Winona State in non-conference play. Played a 21st ranked West Florida team and actually won that in 5 sets. So Northwest does own 2 5-set wins over ranked teams a week ago Friday. They beat Washburn in 5 sets. They swept Hayes this past Friday, lost in 4 at Kearney on Saturday. And then you got a new face coming in here in Arkansas, Fort Smith. New faces, I should say, a new team, new opponent. They're in town Friday at 6, 13th ranked Central Oklahoma at home Saturday at 2. Bearcats are first things first there. But have you had a chance to see Fort Smith UCO on film at all this year?
A little bit just from scouting the team they were playing. So you pay attention to a little bit. Fort Smith was a little hot and cold in preseason, but I think so far in conference play they've been pretty dominant. They just beat Central Missouri last weekend in 4. They beat Missouri Southern easily on Saturday. I think they scored like 13, 11 points. So definitely someone that, this is going to be our hardest week in conference play this year, these 3 games.
Well, just under 24 hours till you take the floor again. And, 3 matches coming up this week. Just what are you hoping to accomplish between now and Tuesday night? And just what's the mindset heading into a really tough week against 3 good teams?
Yeah, I think we need to get our heads on straight and get our confidence back. I think Saturday definitely took a turn after such a great Friday. We just didn't really put our best foot forward, so we need to feel good about ourselves going into tomorrow. So we'll get some touches today. It'll be pretty light. We got a lot of games and not very many days, so we don't want to do too much in practice. But we need to feel good about ourselves and take some reps, and that'll give us some confidence. So.
Yeah, well, as we were saying in the first segment as well, it is Pink Out night on Friday. And then Saturday afternoon, it's a Pink Out game, but it's also a Western theme, as in a Wild West type of theme on Saturday. If you go out to that match at 2 against Central Oklahoma, home to Arkansas Fort Smith, Friday at 6. But tomorrow night, the Griffins making a short trip north to take on Northwest Missouri State. That match starting at 6 o'clock. So the Griffins snapped what was a 10-match losing skid to the Bearcats last year, looking to carry over that success here this week. Griffins off to a great start, 12-3 overall, 3-1 in MIAA conference play. That's the head coach of the Griffins, Jessica Fye. Jess, thanks for the time. Good luck tomorrow and all this week.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. There you go, Jessica Fye leading us off here on the GSI podcast today. Take another break, and we'll go with our usual leadoff man, Cody Ingold, as he's chowing down on some chicken legs right now, or some wings, whatever that is. But we'll take a break. We'll welcome Cody Ingold up as we had the Griffin Invite on campus, the biggest cross-country meet to date, hosted by our university. And the Griffins running on Saturday morning. It was a warm day. The meet got moved up to 9 and 10 o'clock. So we'll talk about how the Griffins did and look at what's to come on their fall schedule. Next, it's the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill. We continue from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill. It's the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast on a Monday, October 7th. I'm Tommy Rezach, now with the head coach of Missouri Western men's and women's cross country, Cody Ingold. Cody, I noticed no one ever hoops and hollers for you. What's up with that?
Go, Cody!
There we go. Thanks, Tommy.
On cue.
I'll pay you later.
Oh, thanks. The Missouri Western was back in action at home this past Saturday in the Griffin Invitational. The men running at 9, the women at 10. And ultimately, Missouri Western in that finish, the men finishing 4th out of 7 teams, the women finishing 6th out of 9. A lot of MIAA members in the field as well. And on the men's side, the Griffons have a pretty good day. Pau Valderrama with an 8th place finish and a PR in what was an 8K, an 8,000-kilometer race for the men. Josh Zachary 15th. Weemock Gilo at 16th. Peter Cuddy in 22nd. 117 runners on the men's side. And, Coach, you pointed out, I think, via Twitter that you beat the number 10 team in the region. You're 3 points from beating Central Missouri. They're number 9 in the Central region. So on that men's side, ultimately very solid performance. So,
yeah, for the most part. You know, that we showed up, and, again, I think we talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago. We had one guy that didn't run, and then one of our guys who should be our number 2, that was our number 7. And a year ago, if we're in that place, we're last. You know what I mean? So, like, we're deep enough to where we can fill those holes. It's just when you're that close to being, you know, good enough to beat Kearney on a weekly basis, you want to take advantage of those opportunities. You know, I don't know if Kearney was full strength, but it seemed to be that they had everybody running. Maybe not everybody was ready yet, but it'd be nice to. Yeah, I'm not satisfied, I guess. But the good thing is we ran well. The guys were pumped with how second fastest time we've ever run as a team. Okay. And the last time we did it was on a short course, so it's technically probably the fastest we've ever run for an 8K, true 8K. So that's refreshing. But the good thing is guys got done, like, this isn't what we want to be. We want to be better. So where 2 years ago or a year ago, after we beat the same weekend, we beat Northwest, and then the season was over. You know, we were all satisfied with the year, and now we're not. So,
yeah, that's fair enough. Missouri Western men's cross country finishing ahead of Missouri Southern, Rogers State, and Rockhurst. The total team time at 2:06, so 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 22 seconds. Northwest Missouri State and Nebraska Kearney 1, 2, and 3, and Central Missouri just 3 points ahead of Western. So the Griffons did beat conference opponents Southern and Rogers State. Now on the women's side, you finished 6th out of 9 teams there, finishing ahead of Truman State, Central Missouri, and Washburn. Team time there of 1 hour, 41 minutes, and 50 seconds. And Lillian Cutler with a PR and a top 20 finish, finishing 20th, 18:59.22 in the 5K race. And freshman Caden Shipman finishing 38th. She had a PR as well. 4 PRs on the women's side, and I think you said in the recap that you did, I think, what you needed to do, expected to do. Thoughts on the women's performance?
They ran really well. Our course it's fast if you're aggressive. You know what I mean? You have to be confident in your abilities. You get out there and it looks daunting because it's really hilly. And it was already 85 degrees. It was hot. Right. Halfway through the guys' race, it was already way too hot. So battling the elements on a tough course, you know, in the middle of October or beginning of October, I thought they ran really, really well. You know, the 2 misses we had PR-wise weren't far off, and so starting to click. It's one of those things too. You know, we talked about the beginning of the year if we have Maddie and Abby, our team's really, really good. So I mean, it gets me excited for the future. You know, and where we're moving, and that the freshmen are clicking this early. Usually takes a little bit longer. So Caden's ran really, really well. She's building confidence, and she'll continue to close that gap with Lillian, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, we miss seeing Madison Nash, Abby Kinney out there running as they're redshirting this season, but the Griffon women slowly getting in the right direction in terms of cross country. So in terms of the course, the home course, a lot of work I know going into that, and seems like you were pretty happy. Things ran fast, and with that in mind, how excited are you to host conference championships here?
After I wore sleeves and pants because I'm filled with poison ivy. So once I recover from that, I can answer that question probably. But it ran fast. People, all the coaches, parents. I mean, it's a beautiful course. Like, I didn't hear one bad thing about it. So, which is good. If they'd said it, they said it behind my back. But I'm excited that it's home. You know, we'll probably do 3 or 4 more workouts out there. So, like, we'll know it like the back of our hands if we don't already, and it gives us home field advantage. Like, the most, playing in different stadiums, different, but like we run on it every day. So like we have no choice but to fall in love with it and figure it out. So I'm excited. I'm not excited for the week that will lead up to it because I'm a stress ball I want to make sure we're presenting the right product and the best product. So that part's not fun, but it was fun hearing all the good things about it after the fact. So
good. Yeah, it takes a village, and a lot of people will assist with hosting the MIAA Cross Country Championship Saturday, October 26th at the Missouri Western Cross Country course. So I guess with that in mind, what do these next 19 days look like for you and the team?
We're doing kind of an expanded training model, so it'll be good. We'll stretch things out, and we'll move some workouts around. Won't be so regimented on how we're doing, so we can, if we need to take an extra day for break or something like that, we can. I'm pretty excited. We sat down and talked about the next 3 weeks, and I think we got a really, really good game plan, and hopefully it pays off. We'll find out.
Yeah, the Griffins will get some time off from competition before going right back to their home course to host the MIAA Championships for the first time ever. So that'll be really exciting, with the men set to start at 10 and the women at 11 Saturday, October 26th, which is a bye week for football, by the way, and we'll have soccer and volleyball home that weekend too. So hopefully some folks can come out and cheer on the Griffs as they'll take on the best distance runners from across the conference. Missouri Western wrapping up the Griffin Invite from this past Saturday at their home course, which was to date the largest meet ever hosted by Missouri Western Cross Country, and they'll up the ante a little bit later in October. Coach Ingold, congratulations on a successful event, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Thanks, Tommy.
Thank you. There's Cody Ingold joining us on the GSI podcast. We'll let him get back to eating his chicken wings as the Griffins, again, a lot of PRs, a lot of fast times, and some really good competition that they were able to not only run with but beat on Saturday, so that was good to see. Speaking of beating good competition, that's what Missouri Western Soccer did once more. They were on the road in Wichita to face Newman, and then they went to Edmond to play Central Oklahoma. 2 more matches, 2 more wins. Griffins still unbeaten as they get ready for 2 really good matches at home this weekend. We'll talk with Jake Plocher, and junior midfielder Sydney Hammett is here. She'll talk to us as well. So that's coming up in just a minute. It's the GSI podcast from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill. Continuing from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill, it's the Griffin Sports Insider podcast, off and running on a Monday. I'm Tommy Rezach, joined now by Missouri Western Soccer head coach Jake Plocher and a junior midfielder from Lee Summit, Missouri, transferring in this past year from Johnson County Community College, Sydney Hammett, joining us. And Sydney scoring her first goal as a Griffin over the weekend. Sydney, Jacob, welcome. Congratulations, and thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
We love being here.
Yeah, what an exciting season this has been now. 8 straight wins, 9-0-1, 4-0 in the MIAA. Started on Friday night down in Wichita, taking on the Newman Jets. The Griffins held off the board the first half, then got to work in the second half with 3 goals there. 25 shots in all, 12 of them on goal. Caitlin Rowland got the party started with a very long goal from just past midfield, her first of the season. Aiden Woodall in the 67th minute, Cameron Peasley right after in the 69th minute, Elizabeth Pujado, Kendall Nisley with assists. But Coach Plocher, starting with you, perhaps the most encouraging thing from that game is 12 subs got to play minutes in that match. How valuable was that?
Yeah, I think that really helped us be able to save our legs and be a little bit more fresh on our game on Sunday. And I think that showed again with how things played out. But love the fact that we were able to rotate in some different faces and give them opportunities and allow them to get some minutes.
Absolutely. Well, the Griffins went just up down the road about 2 hours south to go to Edmond to play Central Oklahoma Sunday. Now, Newman is a team that they were still seeking their first win at the time we played them Friday. UCO, though, with at least 4 wins coming into the weekend, 4-3, I believe they were, 4-3-1. So it's always impressive when you play UCO, and the Griffins were very impressive, getting the first goal in the 23rd minute and added goals in the 66th and the 79th minute. It was Sydney Hammett who scored with about 11 minutes left to solidify a 3-0 win. Sydney, leading off with you here, 12 total shots, 8 of them on goal, and 3 of those go in. When you look at it on the box score, it's fairly competitive. The Griffins with 12 shots, UCO had 11, but at the end of the day, timely goals, very efficient. Just what were you seeing on Sunday? And just talk me through how this team was able to just hold them off the board as well.
I think that it really came down to how hard we were working and sticking with it, especially with the communication piece coming out of the back and then coming up into our mid that followed through with our forwards. The constant runs that were being made and just finding out what didn't work, working around it, and at the end of the day, putting the ball in the back of the net. Yeah.
I want to talk about your career a little bit. You spent a couple years ago at Emporia State, scored a goal in that season, had a great career, all-region, All-American honors at Johnson County Community College, and you're one of a handful of transfers who joined Coach Plocher here in his second year here at Western. When they're recruiting you and they're talking to you, what was it about this place and this program that really appealed to you?
Well, both of my parents did actually go here, so that
really?
was one thing that really stuck out to me. And the campus is just absolutely beautiful. And I had 2 girls prior from my club that went here, and I know that they loved it so much. And then just the welcoming atmosphere. Jacob did a great job of showing the school being friendly face, all that.
Thanks.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Sydney Hammett from Lee Summit, a graduate of Lee Summit West, an JUCO Division II All-American pick last year. She was All-Region, All-Kansas Jayhawk Community College Conference, and she helped lead Johnson County to an appearance in the JUCO National Championship match. So a really touted recruit, Coach Plocher, that you were able to bring on. And, man, we've seen a handful of these transfers. Rachel Benavidez, right, coming from Upper Iowa without looking at the roster. I mean, so good to see these first-year players making an impact.
Yeah, we knew kind of after that first year where we were at and what we felt we needed to add as a program for us to take those steps. We were close quite a bit last year, but just couldn't quite get over the hump. So, myself, our staff, that was a big emphasis of, hey, let's go out and let's get the players that we feel can help us. And, thankfully it worked out, and, we're really pleased with how things have progressed so far.
Yeah, hard not to be pleased. 9 wins, 9-0-1, 4-0 in the conference. Now, the NCAA Division II women's soccer polls, for what it's worth, will come out tomorrow. But I guess for both of you, Coach, starting with you, that aside, obviously the hype is palpable. This team maybe getting a little extra attention, but watching you guys through a 6-match homestand, it's like, this team has kind of developed an identity. We kind of know what to expect. This team's firing off a lot of shots, now starting to score more. Defensively, you're shutting people out more consistently. How would you say this team has just handled the extra hype and the attention, and as you keep stacking these wins?
No, they've done a great job. We've struggled maybe at times on our second game or our Sunday games, and yesterday, we didn't, and that was a really good, promising sign. I tell them all the time, one, we have to stay humble, we have to stay hungry, we have to, stay focused. And I joke with them in the huddle at time too. I said, hey, keep drinking the Kool-Aid. Understand what it takes. We have to continue to be a team that is willing to outwork opponents and do the little things correct. So very pleased with their buy-in and how things have materialized with practice and on the games.
Yeah, 5 of these first 9 victories are shutouts. And Sydney, for you, someone that's kind of getting acclimated into this program, the goals are starting to come from a lot of different directions. Lauren Nyland had a lot of them early, but now, we're seeing other players get involved. Nicoletta Froelich with her second goal of the season over the weekend. Cameron Peasley punching in some now. Aiden Woodall as well. Caitlin Rowland, her first goal of the season. So from an offensive standpoint, how are you seeing this team kind of share it and become a little bit more dynamic, a little more multifaceted?
Well, I think one of the things that's great is that we all can rely and trust each other. And at the end of the day, we're not going to get frustrated or get too down, and we're going to all know that if the ball needs to be in a certain spot, we're going to get it there, and we're going to trust that person's going to do what they need to do.
Yeah, well, the Griffons will try to do what they need to against 2 really good opponents here at home this weekend. It starts with Northeastern State Friday at 7. They're 8-2. They started off the year at 6-0, and then 9th-ranked Central Missouri. They're 7-2-1. They sit in second place in the league right now. We'll host the Jennies on Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock. Coach, no doubt, 2 of the best in the league right now. It was us and Northeastern that were the only unbeatens there for a while. Central Missouri, they've been really, really good since running the table in 2017. They've been a national contender, frankly, since. Now, in the last 10 meetings with the Gens, 9 losses and a draw. The Griffons lost by 1 last year, 1-0, and then drew them 1-1 late last season. So we know what we're up against here. A few days to get ready. Just what do you know about the Riverhawks and Jenny so far?
Yeah, even just going off of kind of how we played them last year, Northeast, they play a really direct style of soccer. So, we have to be ready. We have to understand that it might be a little bit more of a track meet, and then with UCM, they just do the little things right consistently. They're a fundamentally sound team that puts in the work as well. So, they've kind of been that standard in the conference for a long time. And, with us being able to pull out the draw against them last year, and I think we've only beat them once in school history. So, hopefully we're able to go out and perform again admirably on Sunday and hopefully get a result.
Yeah, the last time was 2019. That's the last time Missouri Western beat Central, who happened to be number 1 in the country at the time. And Sydney, I guess I'm curious. It had been a couple of years since you played in the MIAA, but a full season at Emporia State. Does that help at all when you enter a season? Like, how much does the style of these opponents change from year to year? Does it at least help knowing, like, hey, at least I've been on the pitch with these teams before?
No, mentally, I think that it does help, especially speed of play, like knowing that type of stuff. But I don't think that the way that the teams play changed that much, or they haven't so far.
Yeah, absolutely. The Griffins have already played 4 conference matches, and they've won all 4 of them, coming back home after playing a 6-match homestand earlier in September. The Griffins will get to enjoy home field advantage again Friday at 7, Sunday at 1. Northeastern State Friday, Central Missouri on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Both pink out games again. A $10 donation gets you a free pink shirt. That donation supporting the Mosaic Life Care Breast Cancer Center. Well, Sydney Hammett, Jacob Plocher, congratulations. We're having so much fun watching you guys, following you guys, and good luck this weekend.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for being here. All right, there you go. Jake Plocher, Sydney Hammett. You're looking at 2 members of the only undefeated women's soccer team in the MIAA right now. 9-0-1, 8 straight wins. Boy, what a historic run this team has been on. We're going to take a break, and we're going to talk some winter sports for the first time. I told you in the first segment that basketball practice on our campus started Friday. MIAA Basketball Media Days tomorrow in Kansas City, so we figured, why not talk some hoops? We'll start with first-year head coach of women's basketball, Ashton Feldhaus. She'll be up here to talk with us next on the GSI Podcast, live from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill on the Griffon Sports Network. We're back at Hi-Ho Bar and Grill on the GSI Podcast. I'm Tommy Rezach, and for the first time in 2024-25 here at Hi-Ho, we get to talk Missouri Western basketball with one of our newer head coaches on campus, Ashton Feldhaus, getting ready for year number 1 at the helm of Missouri Western women's basketball. A deserved ovation for, no doubt, what's going to be an exciting year for the defending MIAA regular season champs, coming off of a 25-win season a year ago. Well, Coach, first day of practice on Friday. We have some new faces on this team, which we'll talk about. And can you believe it, 3 weeks from this Wednesday, we'll be at Carver Hawkeye Arena taking on the University of Iowa in an exhibition. So very exciting. It's starting to feel real. Just what's the energy like with this group right now?
We love our group. They're great.
Yeah.
Energy's great. We could use about 3 more weeks before we take on Hawkeyes, but
Right.
that's okay. First practice, a little rough, to be honest with you, but it wasn't our first practice, right? We have those preseason practices, but came back on Saturday, and we're keeping them in there for a while. We have a lot to get in. So 3-hour practices. I love our group. They're locked in every single day. We're tough on them, but we can be. It's a little bit more mature group. They carry themselves that way, so they've just been fantastic for us.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see the pictures and some of the things coming out of practice. It just, it's when November's getting closer, basketball is coming. Well, you've been on the job here about 6 months now. A lot has happened in that time. You've hired Kendall Spray as an assistant. She's with us here today. You had that international recruiting trip over the summer, the European Championships in Romania and Portugal. But with that first game on the schedule, how much different is the mindset just knowing, wow, this is real. We're going to actually play somebody else coming up. I mean, how does that change the excitement or just the mindset in general?
Yeah, I don't feel like I've been here 6 months. I feel like it's just flown by.
Yeah.
But super, super grateful to have Kendall here with me. That's been a blessing, having somebody you can trust by your side. So, and we just kind of tackle it like a duo does. And our team is pumped. And I think when we started that first practice, it kind of hits everybody like, ooh, this is real. And when you do the countdown for them, it's like, okay, we're going to blink and we are going to be at Iowa. We're going to blink again, and the next week we're going to be downtown at the Civic Arena.
Yep.
So, it comes fast, and we have a lot to put in, but our group has just been exceptional. And I think they're excited. It's new for everybody, new for us, new for them. And they've just taken everything in stride and kind of kept an open mind about a new culture and a new staff. And, we're thrilled. We're excited.
Yeah, such a good mix of people who have been in this program a few years, contributed to some of the big things that have happened for Missouri Western women's basketball. But there's some new faces to know as well. 5 international transfers signed by Griffon basketball, women's basketball this past offseason. 4 of them from Division I's, 1 of them from Eckerd College, where Coach Feldhaus had been each of the last 5 years, leading the Tritons to NCAA tournament appearances each of those 5 years as well. Just quickly, Motilda Soderlund, a senior out of Sweden. She transferred in from Moorhead State. Laura Tofali, a junior from Italy, transfer of Kennesaw State. Jessica Ford, who will join us at MIAA Media Day tomorrow, native of England, played for Coach Feldhaus at Eckerd College. Marie Sepp, a native of Estonia. She joins us from Albany. And then Malgorzata Bizkowska. She goes by Gosha for short. She's from Poland. She's a junior joining us from Tarleton State. Now, one thing that's new, Coach, I noticed you look on the roster, there's a letter S next to everyone's roster spot, right, in that position column. Everyone is a shooter, S standing for shooter. I guess, what is kind of the reasoning or the origin behind that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be brand new for everybody. From Jaden and Tiani to Cassie, all of our post players, we don't have positions, right? Everybody goes 1 through 5. We are positionless. So everyone is a shooter, and we put a premium on shooting. It's the style we play. We are 4 out, 5 out, ball moving, body moving. And if you're you're open, you're going to shoot it, and you're not just going to shoot it, you're going to make it. So we hammer home on percentages and what we're looking for, and we take the time to teach shooting just the same. So everybody's a shooter. It's positionless. That doesn't mean that Jaden's going to bring the ball up the floor by any means, but they all have the green light, so it's an exciting style to play.
Yeah, is that kind of like a thing they do in the European style where they go by shooter, everybody a shooter? Is that?
No, I think that's kind of just our thing.
Oh, okay.
But our style does fit more European style play.
Gotcha.
It is
Okay.
4 out, 5 out. The bigs are not so much back to the basket. So when they get here in the States, we have to teach them some of that, just like power ball back to the basket. But they're used to playing out on the floor. So we like versatile players, long, lanky, stretch 4s and 5s. We have a lot of good wings, a lot of shooters. And then the returnees from last year are buying into it just the same. So they've been exceptional.
Yeah, we talk about 6 returners from last year's roster, the 5 transfers like we talked about, a true freshman in Cameron Smith getting acclimated now. And it seems like you guys have spent a lot of time together. You did a trip to Worlds of Fun earlier in the fall, like in September. Just how much fun is this group having together? You got a player in Kelsey Johnson who's from right here in St. Joe and players from all across Europe. Just how much fun is this group having together?
Yeah, I think they're just now starting to mesh, which is fun. The first few weeks are just awkward. No one knows anybody. No one knows Coach and I, but now we're kind of into the fold. We're seeing them every day, and there's such a fun group to be around. Coach and I love going to practice with them because they just work, and we said that from the very beginning. If you guys just come work every day, have like that blue collar way about you, we're going to be great. And they're all getting along. So it's fun. You got all the different cultures. Our returnees are exceptional because I think they're starting to feel it like, okay, this is a little bit more tangible for me than maybe it was in years prior. So they're all really bought in, and they're funny to watch together. They're just a good group. We have a smiley group, which is always good, and they're competitive. But they're good with each other. So we say that every day. Come every day, be a great teammate, work your tails off, and we'll take care of the rest. So, and to this point, they've done nothing but that. So I've got nothing but praise for them.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about the first opponent on the schedule, an unofficial game, but wow, talk about going into a mecca of women's basketball. Carver Hawkeye Arena. No, Lisa Bluter and Caitlin Clark are not there anymore, but when you consider the fact that this was a program that was in a national championship in 2023, in the Final Four this past year, this past March, so much history in that building, and no doubt still a ton of talented players there. I understand, too, this will be televised on BTN+. I think that is the intention of the Big Ten Conference, but take us through it. How did this exhibition kind of come about?
We reached out looking for exhibitions all over the country, really, and they got back to us early August, and it was kind of a no-brainer for us for all the reasons you just mentioned, right? When you think about the past few years in basketball, it doesn't go without being said, Iowa women's basketball is it. So for our players, for Coach and I even, just the experience of it all is going to be awesome, and we're going to go in and give it our best shot. I think they didn't, they're not rebuilding, they just reloaded. So they're stacked, of course, but no, it'll be so exciting, and yeah, we'll tackle it just like we will any other game, so it'll be fun.
It's been so fun to watch this program. We went into Creighton 2 years ago, and then we went down to Missouri State, a team that won 20 games the year prior and won at Great Southern Bank Arena in Springfield. So Missouri Western, not afraid to put a few D1s on there for an exhibition contest, and that's what the Griffins will do on October 30th, Wednesday. The tip time still to be announced on that one, but that's how it'll get going unofficially. The first official games are at Civic Arena for the D2 Women's Basketball Central Region Challenge. The Griffins taking on Sioux Falls November the 8th and Augustana November the 9th, right in downtown, the place that just hosted the Division II Women's Basketball National Championship. And that is Missouri Western women's basketball coach Ashton Feldhaus getting ready for her first career game as a head coach. Ashton, thanks so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Looking forward to it.
Perfect. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. Ashton Feldhaus once again joining us on this part of the program. We're going to talk a little more hoops while we're on the topic. Will Martin is here getting ready for his 5th season as the head coach of the Griffin men. He, too, will be at MIAA Media Day in Kansas City tomorrow. So we'll get our first preview of the 24-25 men's basketball team here at Missouri Western. That's next from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill. Continuing from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill, it's the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast. You know who this guy is. That's Will Martin getting ready for his 7th year on campus, the 5th as our head men's basketball coach. And we're supporting a little, well, you've got Royal Blue. I've got Griffin / Royals.
Big game tonight.
Yeah, taking on the Yankees. Game number 2 in that ALDS. 6:38 Central Time start. You can watch it tonight right here at Hi-Ho Bar and Grill, our great hosts of this GSI podcast. Well, Coach, man, first day of practice on Friday. You and Ashton. I can't wait to ask you and Ashton all the same questions tomorrow
yeah.
at MIAA Media Day, by the way. But it's here. The season's here. Your season's just under a month away. Just what's your mindset? How are you feeling right now?
Well, first, we have a special guest in the house, my mom in the back. Clap it up for Amy Martin. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And I love today, so I gotta say, you guys can use me as the martyr. Last week was a little disappointing. It was kind of low energy in here. Now we got a packed house. I love it. I think
crowd.
Amy is the one that brought the energy here. We got soccer with the best start ever. Clap it up for soccer. Clap it up for soccer. 9-0. We got volleyball. So 1987. I was born in 89. I'm 35. So that's dang near, 40 years. Best start for volleyball. Clap it up for volleyball. And then we have cross country hosting a meet, 300 athletes. Is that right, Coach? 300? I saw Plocher, who has the best start in soccer history. He's out there mowing the lawn. I mean, it's a great time to be a Griff.
It really is, yeah.
What question did you ask?
I don't know. Practice has started. How excited are you? How are you?
I'm excited for all the energy on campus right now.
Sure. Yeah.
And then football goes in, number 10 on the road. We're winning at halftime. Those guys are battling through injuries. I know what that's like, skilled players, and they're fighting every day. So it's just a great time right now to be a Griff. In terms of basketball, we just got started. Really like my group. My staff's been unbelievable. Was able to retain both of those guys, which is amazing, John Hood and Weston Smith. And then we have 9 seniors. So I think that's kind of our leverage strength, if we leverage it correctly this year, is that we have retention on staff. We have retention in an era where everybody's leaving. With the transfer portal and NIL, the numbers are staggering in terms of not just players but coaching staff that are leaving each year. So I love the retention that we have. I love the continuity, and I think we have to leverage that as a strength.
Yeah, Griffin's looking to build off of a 17-13 campaign from last year, and 10 players on that team back again this year. But like women's basketball, there's some new faces here. 5 in this signing class this past year, 3 transfers and 2 freshmen. Just quickly naming them: Kidtrell Blocker, senior guard, transferring in from U-Indy of Division II. Devin Butler from Division I, Virginia Military Institute. He is a junior guard joining the Griffins. Zane Nelson, another D2 transfer from Arkansas Monticello, a very talented guard for the Boll Weevils. He is a 6'4 senior guard. Wyatt Powell, a freshman guard coming out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And finally, Luke Redder, a freshman forward coming out of Tomball, Texas. So we talked earlier in the offseason that all of them bringing some really exciting things to this puzzle.
Yeah, I think anytime you bring new talent in, you're gonna know what you're going to get from a basketball standpoint. You should, if you and your staff do a good job in the evaluation. The challenge is making sure that they acclimate to the culture and making sure that the returners that you have also acclimate to them and welcome them in with open arms. And I think that our team's done a beautiful job of doing that. All of those new guys have really come in with a selfless attitude. They've really wanted to learn how we do things, not just from a cultural standpoint, but the way we do things offensively, defensively, our terminology. And so we've really been able to hit the ground running full cylinder on that.
So going back to this time last year, if I recall, so the record in MIAA play in 22-23 was 9-13, and you had that displayed in the locker room, in the facilities, the offices, and everything. 10-12, the conference record last year after a electric 14-3 start. So I guess kind of a twofold question. Any kind of like motto or tagline this team is going with this year, number one? And number two, just how does this group handle expectations, the expectation to make the NCAA tournament in a very stacked Central Region field?
Well, our values are faith, love, ownership, and work, and that's never going to change. But this year, I had all 15 guys right on the board. One word that they felt like defines winning. And we had 15 words, and then we condensed those to 3. And so our guys took ownership in those 3 words, and we talk about those every single day. A big one for me is finishing. So, I never mind, being self-deprecating. If you look at my career, my history, we always start pretty well. Yep. It's finishing. And so we've talked about that a lot. Last year we start 14-3. We start off really well in conference play. We didn't finish the way that we should. And so we talk about that in every single drill, every single meeting. It's finishing everything, whether that's a rep, whether that's a meeting, whether that's a anything that we're doing, whether it's a talk with the team, whether it's in the weight room, whether it's in the training room doing our treatment, we want to finish at an elite level.
Yeah. Well, the Griffins will start this campaign in less than a month, November 1st and 3rd. That's a Friday and a Sunday, going against Lubbock Christian and St. Cloud State in that order in the D2 CCA Tip-Off Classic. Now, this is an event that is at times played in Kansas City. It's going to be played in Canyon, Texas. That's the home of West Texas A&M University, just south of Amarillo, kind of in the section of northern Texas there. A pretty exciting start there. You get a regional team in St. Cloud and Lubbock Christian. I know our women played them a couple years ago. Always pretty good athletes they got down there.
Yeah, it's a big deal to be invited to this tournament. It's one of only 2 tournaments that are held in that double exempt, so it's an honor to be invited there. We're going to be hosting that here next year, and so that's going to be a really big deal for the St. Joseph community. In terms of Lubbock Christian, I've watched no film on them. I mean, we're completely focused on us, but I know that we're going to have to go in there and we're going to have to build a wall in transition because they like to get up and down. I saw some of their film last year just because, you watch other teams. And then what I'm really excited about is that we get an in-region opponent. So you get St. Cloud, who's in our region, and then we come back and we host Hilliard, and we get 2 more in-region opponents. And you try really hard at the beginning not to, overweigh certain opponents, especially in non-con, but that stuff's really important to be able to have regional opponents, especially towards the end of the year. If we don't mess up at the end of the year, I'm looking, we don't lose 2 of those last 3, all of a sudden, because of our non-con and winning 2 regional games, we would have been right in the talk to be able to get into that NCAA tournament. So, I don't talk about that stuff with our guys because we have to be focused one day at a time. We have to be present. But in terms of taking an objective look at our schedule, I think that it was pretty good scheduling and it gives us a great opportunity.
Yeah, the Griffins will have a few road trips. They'll have a game at Maryville University in St. Louis on November 16th, at Arkansas Tech November 22nd as well. But the first home games, it's an event Missouri Western has been hosting for many years, the Hilliard Tip-Off Classic, November 8th and the 10th. The Griffins will play Northern State on the 8th. Augustana the 10th, 2 very good Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference teams. So that's at least 3 Central Region teams, Arkansas Tech being 4. So that's 4 in-region games the Griffins will get in the non-conference slate this year. It's going to be exciting. The Griffins getting ready for year number 5 of the Will Martin era. Still a few weeks till we get there, but Friday, November 1st, 3 weeks from Friday, Griffin men's basketball will officially get going against Division II Lubbock Christian in the state of Texas. Coach Martin, thanks so much. Good luck to your guys this year.
Thanks, Tommy.
All right, there you go. Will Martin joining us for the first time, first of many appearances here in 2024-25. So got a lot to get to here in our GSI podcast. We'll take a break and we'll recap football. Missouri Western football taking on Pittsburgh State on the road last week, and they're getting ready for another road trip, this one to Warrensburg, to take on Central Missouri, another contender in the MIAA the Griffins will tango with. So we'll talk about that next with Coach Tyler Fenwick on the GSI podcast from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill. Continuing on a busy GSI podcast from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill, I'm Tommy Rezonch. Thanks for being with us on the Varsity Network app, gogriffins.com/listen, or if you're watching the podcast back on the Griffin Sports Insider page, we appreciate you being here. Tyler Fenwick up here now as Missouri Western had another big MIAA road test taking on 10th-ranked Pittsburgh State in front of a sellout crowd on a warm, blustery day down on the field. And what can you say? It was another physical MIAA scrap. The Griffins giving themselves a chance in the face of adversity and a lot of different things going on. Pittsburgh State coming away with a 31-20 win after kind of a series of events in that third quarter. Some of it penalties, some of it a pick 6 that Pittsburgh State had, and the Gorillas got up 18. The Griffins got a touchdown in the fourth. Pitt missed a field goal in the fourth quarter as well. So definitely was a game throughout. But Coach, just an unfortunate thing in the sense that Brandon Burwald gets to start at quarterback, played a solid first half. Then he's got a stomach bug and couldn't play in the second half. So that's just kind of been the year it's been. Lady Luck hasn't really ridden along with us. And, Pitt is a good team. You give them a lot of credit. But I know these tough losses, these close competitive losses, it hurts, I know. But looking at the 60-minute effort, just your immediate thoughts.
You just threw a whole lot at me right there.
I know. I always do.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was, it's obviously it's frustrating. I thought Burwald did a really good job. We felt like going into the week, we needed some quarterback run game in the game plan just with what they do defensively. We felt like, I felt like Brandon over the last 2 weeks really has done a great job in practice, and the offense is really starting to kind of soak in, and he's starting to understand what the offense is supposed to look at, like how to run the offense, the timing. on the same page with the receivers. And so just all of that combined, we made that move on Thursday and said, we're going to start him. And then, he has a good first half. He was sick in pregame. He went and threw up in the locker room. And we thought at first it was just kind of a nerve thing. And I was like, okay, you got it out of your system. Let's go play. And he went and played, and then I think, one of those series in the second quarter, I had to burn a timeout because he was like throwing up, and we're trying to figure out what I didn't even know. And then so we ended up, he just didn't have it. He just didn't have the energy after, throwing up as much as he was, and couldn't keep anything down. He had no fluids in him. And he wanted to go. He tried to go, and he just, it just didn't work out. So I felt bad for that, for him, and he was 11 of 14 and 94-yard drive, which is good to see, because that's, we haven't been able to put together drives like that consistently, and that was good to see. We had 3 scoring drives throughout the game that were all over 80 yards, and the 94-yard drive was like a 13-play drive, and so that was good for us to kind of show that we can do that, that we are capable of doing that. And we've said we're capable. It's just a matter of putting it all together. Like you said, the third quarter was pretty much the turning point of the game. We had the big penalty, the pass interference penalty that got them down inside the 30. We gave up a big run, and then they ended up scoring. And then we come back with the pick six, and that's just a 14-point swing that's really hard to overcome. And that's kind of where we're at right now. We're playing tough football. We're playing good football, but we're not playing. We're giving things up. We've got mistakes that are compounding, and you just can't do that in this league. You just can't. You can't give points away in this league and think that you're going to overcome it, and the competition's just too tough.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, we talk about, playing ranked opponents. We already played 3 or 4 of them. We've played 4 games on the road. Yeah, this league, no matter who you're playing, I think this week showed it. Hayes beating Central Missouri. It's just, you never know what could happen. And, that third quarter, Missouri Western, a great start to the second half, pitching a 3-and-out to Pitt State. And then the Griffins go 8 plays, 83 yards. A beautiful throw by Cody Kirk, who came in as the backup this past week. Jonas Bennett catching the 38-yard touchdown, which was his first touchdown grab of the year. 13-10, Missouri Western with 10-12 to go in the third quarter at that point. Pitt responds with a 9-play, 63-yard drive, but then, Alex Gaskell on a 44-yard pick six. So it was 24-13 Pitt entering that fourth quarter of play, and it looked like Pitt was maybe going to put it away early fourth quarter. They miss a field goal, but a couple of 3-and-outs after the pick six. Griffin's unable to get going, but you mentioned it early that, even though it was only 6 points in the first half, for a quarterback who's ill to go 10 of 14, to have over 130 all-purpose yards, you said it, that first half, to get that response, to grab a 6-3 lead, that looked like, I think a lot of what you've been trying to do.
Yeah.
Good mix of run and pass.
Yeah, it was a good balance. It was definitely a good balance. We wanted to run the football, and we also know that it's a tough defense to run the football against, and so we needed kind of that extra, the extra guy with the quarterback being a threat, and not only him running it, but also just the threat of him running it. So they had to defend that, and I thought that opened some things up for us a little bit. But yeah, I mean, he looked very calm. He looked very confident in what the game plan was. If you talked to him yesterday on Sunday, he'll tell you that basically everything was a fog, and he was just kind of out there and getting through it. But for him being in a fog, I thought he played pretty well.
Yeah. On the defensive end, Pittsburgh State, they're number 1 in the league in time of possession. They tend to just stay on the field and move the chains. They were on the field for almost 34 minutes of that game on Saturday. Pitt, defensively, it's almost like kind of a yo-yo thing. Pitt scored on their first 2 drives. We forced them to punt on 4 straight. And then Pittsburgh State, to end the game, their last 4 possessions all went 6 plays or more. All of their drives went 56 yards or more. They took the ball at about 7.5 left and just ran it, and were able to kind of wear us down up front. Defensively, 5 sacks, right, in the first half. You stop them on third down 9 times. Lots to like, but also Pittsburgh State just kind of, salting it away there late. What's your assessment of how the defense played?
I thought they played pretty well, and it was actually good to see some of our young guys. Evan Williams is outside linebacker that got a sack, or maybe a sack and a half or something, or tackle for a loss, and so it was good to see him, start to come along. He's a redshirt freshman, great looking, good sized kid that's going to really be a big time player for us over the next few years. So that was that's always, you're looking at Brock Worcester. I mean, he was in there playing. Redshirt freshman. Drew Scott's in there as a redshirt freshman. He's getting reps, and so we've got some really good young players that are are getting meaningful reps in big games that are learning how to play. And that's the thing is, you've got you got JB in there at linebacker, and you've got Keenan Gasket in at their linebacker, but they can't go the whole game. I mean,
No.
and it's 90 degrees out, and you got to make sure the more that they play, then you got some mistakes that happen, and and we got to keep them fresh. And so it's good to see some of these young guys that are jumping in there, and they're being physical, and they're understanding the game plan, and they're making plays and making tackles.
We've seen Denver Parker out there.
Yeah,
on some
Denver
snaps.
Parker, who's new. Yep. So there's, we missed Jake Leader. He was out with a hamstring, kind of a game time decision, hoping that he could go. We traveled him, and he wasn't ready. So we missed the depth there, just because he's really come along and been playing really well. But so there's some good players that are out there, and they're fighting and competing and battling.
Yeah, Denver Parker, a first-year Griffon transferring from Division I Austin Peay, and Drew Scott is somebody we've talked about as well, making some nice contributions. Well, you kind of said it in post-game, and I think you said it to the team afterward. You're kind of at a point now where it's like, look, we got 5 games to go, and no one likes the fact that we are where we are, a losing streak and all. But it's like you got a choice: either you can kind of hang your head and mope, or you can kind of seize the moment. You got 5 games, all against some pretty good teams, a chance to get some statement wins. I think about 2021, a team that was sitting at 2-4, they went 4-1 to end the season. That really carried some positive momentum. So as you get back to work this week, another tough road test going into Central Missouri. But what was the meeting like on Sunday, and just how is this team embracing the challenge of, okay, we are where we are, let's try and finish strong here?
I mean, obviously they're disappointed, and they're they're hurting, and it's expected. I mean, they invest a lot of time, and they put in a lot of work, and they know they played a good game, but it's one of those things where it's like, you got it. You can. What mentality do you want? I mean, if you're going to chalk it up as like, well, we didn't do this and we didn't do that, and our season's a bust, well, that's kind of the loser mentality, and that's not who we are. Or you can get back on the horse and you try to figure it out, and you just stay together. And we talked about because I know that there's some it's very easy when you go 3 losses in a row and you can start pointing fingers and you can start blaming and you start questioning things, but none of that's happening with our guys right now. Our guys are very much next task is at hand, and we got to figure it out, and we got another one on the schedule, and they're whether you like it or not, there's another game on the schedule, and there's another opportunity to go, another challenge in front of us to continue to get better. I think we see that we're getting close. I think we see that we have opportunities to win games, and so we just got to keep putting the plan together and just keep progressing.
Well, I think it's evident when you watch this team play that as hard as it is to have these close losses. We've said it. This team can compete with anybody, and you see it. There's so much pride and energy when you watch this team play for a full 60 minutes. A lot of frustration, I know, and some inconsistencies that we've talked about, but a lot of pride in the fact that, Western's been right there with the best of the best in this conference and, frankly, in Division II. Well, we get a similar challenge again this week. We're at Central Missouri, a Walton Stadium in Warrensburg. Now, Central, they're also coming off a loss. They were the preseason favorite at 3-2, but this league is just crazy town. Fort Hays State the week prior gets stumped by Central Oklahoma. Well, Hays on their homecoming host a then-ranked 12th Central Missouri, and 31-21. It should have been 31-14. UCM punched in a late touchdown. The thing I can summarize UCM, coach, in a few words: they score a lot with a Harlan Hill winner quarterback Zach Zabrowski, but they're giving up a lot of points on the defensive end. I don't think they've given up any fewer than 30 points in a game so far this season. What do you make of this Mules team?
Yeah, well, they put up a lot of points. I mean, and they play with a fast tempo, and so you got to make sure that you're, get kind of like the Emporia game. You got to make sure that you're, you get the call, you get the signal, you get it communicated, and you get lined up, and you play the play. Yeah. And then you can't do all, you can't be celebrating, you got to get your eyes to the next call and get on it. And so, and they got some fast receivers, and obviously the quarterback is really good. So, and then offensively, we're going to have to find a way to be consistent. We're going to have to keep up, and so we can't stall out, and then we're going to have to give our defense some breaks too. It's going to be one of those things where if you go 3 and out and put them back out on the field, that's a recipe for disaster. You're going to get worn out. So it's a two-way street. You got to make sure that both sides of the ball are firing on all cylinders, and we moved it against them pretty good last year. Yeah. So. It'll be a good test again. It's one of those things where we've been in it. We compete. We've had good plans. We just got to make sure that we execute and make less mistakes than they do.
Absolutely. Central Missouri, they opened their season like Western did with a win against Northeastern State. They beat them at home 63-21. Lost to UCO in a shootout 57-40. Went into Michigan, beat Davenport by a point. They beat Kearney by a point a couple weeks back, and then losing to Fort Hays State 31-21. So in the case of the Mules, a team that was in the playoffs last year, shared the MIAA title, they're going to be motivated to get back on track, but we know Missouri Western certainly is. We've watched how hard they've played and how close they have been, and it'll be our earliest kickoff of the season as well, with a 1 o'clock kick pregame at noon, the final road game of the season. We'll be at home for 4 straight. We have a bye week, too, coming up on October 26th. We'll be home to Kearney on the 19th, so that's what's coming up in the next few weeks. The Griffins will try and win in Warrensburg for the first time since 2013. There you go. That's Missouri Western football head coach Tyler Fenwick. Coach, thanks for the time. Good luck this
Appreciate
week.
it. Yep.
All right, there you go. Tyler Fenwick joining us up here on the GSI podcast. I think we'll do our coaches panel after this, and we'll wrap it up from Hi-Ho next on the GSI podcast. All right, we're back on the coaches roundtable. I'm with Jake Plocher, Cody Ingold, Tyler Fenwick, Jessica Fye unable to join us as she's getting ready for a volleyball match that's coming up in about 24 hours from now. So
I think you're the only person that calls her Jessica, like in the entire country.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I call her Jess when we talk informally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I call you.
I digress.
I call you
A
Cody.
lot of things. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're the only one that's ever called him Jakey boy. So anyway, well, guys, I know you were all in competing this weekend. Some of you guys on the road, but it was a wild week in college football. 4 of the top 10 lost. Vanderbilt beating Alabama was probably the biggest one. That was their first win over an AP top 5 ever. In the minds of Vanderbilt fans, that'll probably be, in their mind, the best upset of their lives. I guess I'm curious, as spectators, as coaches, as sports fans, what's maybe the wildest, most unexpected upset you ever remember, whether you were there in person or watching on TV, coaching or cheering? What's the most major upset in your mind as a sports fan?
Iron Bowl kick 6. Well, I remember where I was standing. I was with like a bunch of buddies because that was Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it was Black Friday around
yeah,
that time.
so we were all. My buddy's kitchen. We were about to turn it off, and then we didn't.
Bang.
Yeah. So, the Vandy fans are going to feel like me and you do, Tommy, about the Huskers for the next 30 years and just be disappointed in the rest of their lives. So,
some of them might say, I could die happy they beat Alabama. Coach Plocher, how about you?
I'm trying to think. I mean, just as a coach, I mentioned it a couple weeks ago on here, is when at Eastern when we went and played number 3 Vanguard and we beat them, upset them 1-0. That was, like I said, pretty memorable. I'm trying to think of other moments just as a sports fan, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. No.
Coach Fenwick, anything in your mind there? Oh, there you go.
Hear me?
Yep.
I think the thing about the MIAA is I don't know how much upsets there are because everybody's so close. Yeah. It's such a good competition between everybody, and anything can happen. But I think this was 2021 maybe. Mm-hmm. When I was at Southeastern, we played Harding, who was number 3 in the country, and we beat them. Nice. Came from behind, and it was kind of back and forth, high-scoring game. And ended up going for 2 to win the game, and pretty electric, pretty cool feeling.
Yeah,
to beat Harding.
Some would call our win over Pitt last year an upset, but it's we're nationally ranked too.
Yeah, no, I don't look at that. I mean, that's just a good MIAA football game and a good win. And even back in the day when we beat Northwest, it's 2 good football teams going at it, and in a championship. When you're in a championship type game, that's not really an upset. It's just 2 really good football teams.
Yeah, in November of 2012, to the victor, the spoils, when we were at Maryville winning that game in 2012. Well, now I'm curious, coaches, with all these upsets, there was a lot of field storming. Coach Ingold, our Scarlet and Cream, we stormed the field after beating Colorado, but this has become kind of a discussion, a debate, talking about the safety of people, but others are like, oh, come on, let the fans have their fun. I guess, where do you stand? Court storming, field storming? Do you like it? Should we change it? What do you think?
I think if there's a 3-minute buffer to get the players off the field just so there can't be any incidents. I'm not talking about the infamous flop that happened last year with I won't say her name, but make sure the kids are safe. Get the coaches, because you get one person that just has too drunk or done something dumb and just wants to be an idiot and make themselves famous.
Chaos.
Yeah, and basketball, man, that's way too close. They don't have. That's their
time.
Game's over and you don't have time to get off the court.
Yeah.
But it's hard to. You need more security. You guys seen this? It's college kids just staring at, praying that they don't get trampled too. So, Sorry.
But I think it brings a different element. It's nice. It's
Yeah.
fun. You see,
Oh, yeah,
like
it's cool.
like you said, the Vandy goalposts that now they'll probably cut up into pieces and auction off to try to pay for some of the fines that they have incurred from allowing that. But to an extent, that's kind of the college athletics, and it's kind of the memorable moments that you will remember.
Yeah.
Well, if they're going to auction off those goalposts, they'll have to get it out of the bottom of the Cumberland River. 'cause
Well, they did.
that's where
They pulled it out. I saw a picture.
did they really?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
that's
fire
good.
department pulled it out. And
Yeah, KU did that last year. I forget who they beat. They pulled down the goalpost and put it in the river. Coach Fenwick, any thoughts on that at all? Or?
No, I'm the same way. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you got to make sure that the players are safe, the students are safe. I mean, you got to make sure it's a safe environment and all that stuff. But it is kind of it's a big celebration. Everybody's excited about it, and you like to see the camaraderie and all that stuff that goes along with it. But I think safety. You don't want to lose a player because of something like that. That would be tragic.
Yeah, well said. Well, we're kind of running over time, so I'll end it with this. We talked about MIAA Basketball Media Day tomorrow, where our coaches and players are going to be asked all sorts of questions from folks around the league. Coach Fenwick, we had Football Media Day in July, and we ask you guys questions all the time. I guess I'm curious, some of you have been in other schools, a lot of places. What's like the least favorite question you've ever been asked? What's your least favorite type of question, or what was the worst question you ever asked in a public setting? Anything come to mind? You can include me in this too.
Yeah, mine's easy. Mine is when Tommy brings up stuff that is negative and things that I've failed at in my coaching career. So your time's coming, Tommy. I wish Nebraska loses every week just because of that. Okay?
That's not
Man,
nice.
now
That's
you're
not
catching
nice at
strays
all.
over here.
Yeah,
for that.
well.
My problem isn't the question necessarily. It's just the lack of knowledge into running. You know what I mean? There's questions that'll be asked, and I'm just like, and unfortunately, Tommy, you're the only person I ever talked to about track besides Dave Riggert, and Dave threw in college, so he knows track. It's just the way the questions are phrased, and just not totally understanding the whole world of track and field, but I try to make it as fun as possible, although I'm very boring to listen to about it.
I'm going to go with someone who's in-house here. I'm going to go with Menley after one of our games when he came down to the sideline to do the live interview, and the other team was like walking right behind us, and he talked about total domination, blah, blah, and you can just hear and feel the eyes from the other team, and again, tried to de-escalate that as best as it could, but it was still, like I said, it was still funny.
No, I thought you did a good job because I was watching the team and I was like, good on Jake Plocher. I think it was William Jewell, the home opener. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Well, coaches, thank you for your time. Appreciate the roundtable discussion, and good luck to you guys. I know, Cody, you're off for a couple weeks, but
I'm co-hosting next week, Tommy.
Oh, are you?
I just made that decision.
Oh, good.
Just now.
Well, hey, all are welcome here. Coaches, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tommy.
All right, that'll wrap it up for today on the Roundtable and the GSI podcast. A long one, talking basketball, football, cross country, volleyball, soccer. Lots going on here on campus. We'll have a full podcast of this episode on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Just search Griffon Sports Insider. Be sure to subscribe. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next Monday. Until next time, so long.